Hello everyone, this is Sedone again, and this is my screencasting video. Today I will be discussing to you some crucial parts about these lessons or my topic that I will be presenting to you. So everybody please listen and let's start. So our topic for the day is aspects of communication. So before we're going to know what are the aspects of communication, let us first discuss what is communication all about. So communication is the art of transmitting information, ideas, and attitudes from one person to another. And yes, we all know that communication is simply an act of conveying intended information and understanding from one person to another, and that is already communication. So the goal of communication is to convey a thought or an information and the understanding of that information from one person or group to another person or group. So communication, for those who don't know yet, comes from the Latin word communis, which means common. Thus, to communicate means to make common or to make known. It is the act of making common, and known is carried out for exchange thoughts, ideas, and information. So communication is one of the most important arts in our lives. It is as it is related into our emotions and into our hearts. So there are so many ways on how we communicate to other people, right? So we can even communicate with ourselves. So consider these illustrations I have here through which way we can communicate. First is the giving of information. So obviously, through giving information, you are already communicating. Giving information usually comes from the form of statements or facts. Next is listening. Communication is not complete without effective listening. A good listener can restructure vague speaking in a way that produces clearer meaning. So, a good listener is one of the most fundamental of communication. Next is speaking. By speaking, it is an action of conveying information or expressing one's thought and feelings in spoken language. Next is presenting. So as you can see here in the picture, example, a teacher lecturing a lesson to his student, it can be clearly seen that presenting is also a way of communicating. Next is understanding. Communication is not only the transaction of the lesson, but also to get the proper understanding in order to have an effective communication. Next is conversation. Through the act of having a conversation with someone is also a way of communicating, and that's what we usually do. Next is telephone, call, and text. Communication is not only a means of having an actual talking to someone, but through the use of mobile phones, answering calls, sending texts is also a way wherein nowadays we are prone to gadgets. One click of it, you can already send messages, especially through social media like Facebook and other applications out there. Next is sending mails is also a way of communicating, although it does not require talking or speaking. So that's it. Always remember these examples that I've given to you. So these are some few ways of communications. And right now, let's proceed. When you are speaking for you to communicate, communication cannot be effective without this tool, and that is language. The effective communication is made possible with the help of language. When you are speaking, of course, you are using a language. So what is this language, by the way? So language is a combination of words to communicate ideas in a meaningful way. Language is the most effective medium of communication. So what are these words? There are so many words, right? So constructing words to form a thought or idea, that is how words are combined and we uses it to communicate. But make sure that people are able to understand your language when you communicate. Language is created by people. It does not exist in isolation or outside the minds of people. It is created by people as they need it. Humans attach meanings to words as they need to and modify these meanings according to changing needs. So that is language. Next, let's now proceed to the aspects of communication. When we say aspect, it is a part of something or part of a whole. So first is the verbal aspect and the non-verbal aspect. First is the verbal aspect. Verbal aspects describes any type of interaction that makes use of spoken words. It refers to the use of sounds and language to relay a message. So, from the word itself, verbal, it is relating to or consisting of words. So, as you can see the picture of these guys here talking to each other verbally by the use of words. So, verbal aspects takes place when spoken words are used to transfer information and understanding from one person to another. So, verbal communication can be done in two ways. First is the oral communication. It describes any type of interaction that makes use of spoken words. It implies communication through mouth. Examples are face-to-face conversation, interviews, or telephone talk, formal meeting, gossip, prompt speech, or giving instruction. Second is the written communication. It involves any type of message that makes use of written word. So oral communication is the process of expressing information or ideas by word of mouth. It falls under verbal aspects. So most oral communication is informal. So some examples here are reports, memos, emails, business letters, and fax. Questionnaires, letters, agenda, or grocery list. Next is the nonverbal communication or aspect. The nonverbal aspect is defined as the process of using wordless message to generate meaning. Some of the nonverbal aspects are appearance, gestures, facial expression, postures, or eye contact. So, under nonverbal aspects, there is non-linguistic element. So, it is a device used in conveying messages without entirely relying on speech or language. So, examples are kinesics or the body language. So, body language, some of these are scared, we feel scared, when we're excited, or when we're angry. Next is the haptics, or known as the language of touch. Examples are hug, shake hands, the high five, and the holding hands. Next is the olfactics, or known as the language of smell. First is the smelling of flour, the garbage waste, smell of food, or dirty sex. So those are the aspects of communication. Thank you for watching and listening.